Domestic violence, a silent killer. A voice hardly heard, but many are aware it is around. So what is domestic violence and why does it occur in Australia? Domestic violence is any act of violence that results in or likely to result in physical, sexual, or a psychological harm, whether occurring in public or private life. Domestic violence occurs across cultures and communities in every country, not just Australia. It is the result of an abuser's desire for power and control. An abuser chooses to behave violently. It is a learned intentional behavior rather than the consequence of stress, substance abuse, or a dysfunctional relationship. The responsibility for the violence lies with the abuser. It can be difficult for many people to understand why a person would stay in an abusive relationship. The reasons for staying vary from person to person. For some, it is the strong emotional forces, while for others, it could be financial dependencies or for the safety of their children. Ajay will share the impact of domestic violence on the Australian community and economy. Break the silence. Have your voice heard.
Violence in any form is never agreeable. As per the 2019 Australian Institute of Health and Welfare report, on average, one woman is killed every 9 days and one man is killed every 29 days by a partner. About 2.2 million Australians have experienced physical or sexual violence and 3.6 million Australians have experienced emotional abuse from their partner. As per the 2016 KPMG report, the annual cost of domestic violence on Australian economy was estimated at $22 billion. Domestic violence takes many forms, including physical, sexual, social, emotional, cultural, spiritual, and financial abuse, and a wide range of controlling, coercive, and intimidating behavior. Strangulation is another factor that victims need to be aware of and raise a red flag immediately. So, how to differentiate between domestic violence and a normal relationship? Let's listen to Shirin. Break the silence, have your voice heard.
So, how to differentiate domestic violence from normal relationship? Sometimes we can suffer from mental health issues such as depression and anxiety, which can lead to self-doubt within the relationship itself. So no relationship is perfect, but perfect moments that counts and matters. Every relationship is different, so do not compare and despair. Trust and respect are two most important and basic qualities of any relationship. If not, it's out of balance. So let's say for 5 positive interactions, 1 negative interaction. Like we thirst for water when our fluids are down in our body. Anxiety due to feeling insecure and uncomfortable, feeling scared or unsafe is a signal for unmet needs in a relationship. If you're having a pattern of honeymoon days, like tension building up, and domestic violence situations with the abuse or a control situation, and eventually this pattern escalates over time within months to years, it only escalates. If we stay in long-term domestic violence relationship and staying in deep distress, our body suffers from a lot of illness, including heart attack, stroke, or we can have mental health issues such as complex PTSD, or we can be at risk of harm. So what doesn't help in domestic violence? Sending abuser to an anger management therapy in itself, it's not going to help because it's not going to address the fundamental causes of domestic violence. It doesn't focus on the safety of the victim. It doesn't hold the abuser accountable for their violence. Going for a couples counseling with the abuser, it's a big no-no, because later the victim will be subjected to physical abuse or punishment for speaking out about the violence. stays, victim safety will be very much compromised there. So what helps in the domestic violence? What can we do in domestic violence situation? Unless the abusive person wants to change, individual and group counseling, not the couples counseling, to examine, challenge their beliefs and attitudes that support violence, examine the effect of their violence and abuse on their families and their own lives, and teach and practice non-controlling and non-violent alternatives, identifying dysfunctional and destructive approach. Did you know 80 to 90% of our life is determined by the age of 10 years? So children do mirror us. If you are currently a victim, what can you do? Please stay safe online and on your devices. Have a safety plan and avoid confrontation in any way possible. Speak to a professional, trusted friend or a co-worker. Please make sure you widen your social support, because your social support will be the first one to be axed by the abuser. Keep a record of violence and abuse. Please recognize your strength. Trust yourself. Be compassionate to yourself. You are the expert of your situation. So if you need professional help, Medicare, we have Medicare 10 sessions available in a calendar year with the GP mental health care plan and referral. And if you had a history of domestic violence, there are 22 individual sessions available through them. And please get legal advice and mediation, which Deepa will be talking next. Thank you.
There is no excuse for domestic violence or abuse. And for a victim, it is not easy to speak up about their experience. In Australia, there are several organizations that provide support services for a victim of domestic and family violence. Some of the organizations are 1800 Respect, Kids Helpline, Lifeline, No to Violence, and the app Daisy. If you are experiencing any violence, please do not hesitate to contact the police on 000 as well as the support services to seek assistance. They can give you information about options and support you in your next step, including creating a safety plan that covers the different actions that you can take if your situation becomes risky. Next, Mitu will talk to you about the legal aspects. Break the silence. Have your voice heard.
Violence or abuse is never acceptable, no matter what the circumstances. Please be aware that you have legal avenues available to you, and the Australian legal system is here to help you. You can apply to the police for an apprehended violence order, which is popularly known as an AVO, which will enable you and your children to restrain your violent partner or to remove him or her from where you are. You can video record the instances of domestic violence incidents, and if you're ready to commence legal proceedings, you can contact a solicitor in order to ensure that your future, along with your children and matrimonial asset pool, is protected and taken care of. In Australia, you can even contact the local legal community centres or explore avenues like legal aid if you have any financial issues. You do not have to feel alone, and we are here to help. Please reach out. Break the silence and have your voice heard.